Hey, welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. We're at a little bit of a milestone today. This is my 40th video. 40 videos. Wow. It's been going on for over a year now, and the adventure is just starting into the second phase. The first phase was to kind of research and find a house and buy a place, and now the second phase is to kind of remodel it and fix it up. So that's what's going on. And if you saw last week's video, you know that I came to an agreement with a contractor who's going to help me use his team, and he's going to manage the project, and super exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. But also, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that was funny from one of the early videos. So the very first town I considered buying in was Penne. Penne is a town on the eastern side of Italy, and maybe about an hour from the coast, and really kind of beautiful old town. And I looked at a few properties there. So the first properties I walked through were in Penne. And there was just a recent article that Penne is one of the most recent towns to start doing €1 houses. So if you look way back in that video, you'll see that is kind of an interesting town because it has a very distinct old town, like almost a walled town, all original, but it's like almost completely abandoned. I mean, it's like probably, I don't know, 90% of the places are empty. So it didn't have a great feel to me. Outside of the town walls, I mean, the community's still vibrant. There's still a lot of people there. They just kind of live outside of the old town area, but still some nice restaurants, a bunch of people there. I liked it, but I just decided it was a little bit remote. It might have been hard to get to. But here, I'll put a link in the description of the video of that latest article on CNN about they're offering €1 houses. And there's a little bit different scenario going on there. Usually you have to put down €5,000 as a deposit. And if you don't have it fixed up within 3 years, then you lose your deposit. So Penne is making it a little bit easier for people. You don't have to put that deposit down. But I think there's still a 3-year deadline to get it fixed up. But for anyone who's interested in Penne, take a look at that. I'll grab a couple of links to maybe some of my older videos when I walked through some of the properties there too, so you can take a look at that. But if you notice on the opening credits, the first town, the drone footage, that's Penne in Abruzzo, in the region of Abruzzo in eastern Italy. So I wanted to mention that today on today's video. But we're already starting to plan. Some things have already happened for the remodeling. And so let's go over that and talk about that a little bit today. And let's get excited about what's going to happen coming up soon. So as you can see, I'm still at my house here in Colorado. It's been a little cold the last few days, kind of cloudy, a little windy. You'll hear a little bit of wind today, but I've got my my wind shield here on the microphone, so hopefully it's not too loud. But it's been a little bit chilly. The first couple weeks I was back, it was beautiful. I got a couple motorcycle rides even. But then some more cold weather moved in. But of course, you know, hey, we're in the mountains of Colorado, and it's March, so not too unexpected. But most of the snow, or a lot of the snow, is melted, and I think you know, another week or two of warm weather, and all the snow and the shadows will be gone. So anyway, but even though I'm still in Colorado, Paolo has been working for me, and Paola as well, to get things ready and get things planned. So I wanted to share a little bit with you guys about what's been going on already at the house, which is pretty incredible and kind of blows my mind that this is actually happening right now. So first of all, when I came to an agreement with Paolo a couple weeks ago to work on my house and manage the project and use his team, it occurred to me, wow, I need to get the water and electricity turned on. So I never did get that turned on when I bought the house. I just figured, A lot of people probably in an inspection when you buy a house that you'd want water on, make sure it works. But I figured there's a chance we'll be replacing the entire system anyway, or at least the water lines, and so it really didn't matter to me whether or not the existing system worked. So that's one of those things when you're starting out and you're going to be doing all this construction. Now's the time to do it. You don't want to come back and have to mess with that later. So that's kind of something that I was wanting to do anyway. So anyway. Paolo said he would jump on that and start getting things rolling. And then I remembered that Paula, my realtor, had offered to get that set up for me last year. And then she said, just let me know a couple of weeks before you need it and we'll get the ball rolling. So I reached out to Paula, man, within 15 minutes probably. She had me the documents. She'd sent me the documents and I'd read them over and looked them over and signed them and got them back to her. And to get the water turned on, I actually had to pay a deposit. And I don't have a bank account in Italy yet, so they don't take credit cards. So I was trying to figure out how to do this, and I came up with a great solution. I found a great solution. It's a company that lets you wire money from the U.S. to all around the world, really. But obviously, for me, I'm just looking to go to Europe. So they had. You could just do an ACH transfer from your bank account into their bank account, and then they would pay in euros to the bank account it needs to go to. So I had the IBAN, the international banking account number for the water company in my town, and I knew how much they needed in euros. And then they used the mid-market exchange rate, and then they just have a small fee. So it was 66 euros, which is about $69, something like that. And then there was like $1.15 fee for doing all this, for transferring it to euros and sending it to their bank account. So I think it ended up costing me like $70 to pay that 66 euro fee. So it was incredible. So I'll put the name of the company here on the screen, and also put it in the comments in the description so you can take a look at it. Sorry, not the comments, in the description for this video. So if you end up finding yourself in that situation, this worked really great for me. So, it was only 66 euros, so it's not huge amounts. I don't know what the fees would be and how much it would cost for larger values or how that would work. But for me, this was a fantastic solution. And one of the first things I'll do when I get to Italy is open a bank account. So, you can't really open a bank account remotely anymore as a foreigner. If I had citizenship or residency, I could have done it remotely, but a couple of companies that did offer that have suspended that service. So I don't know if that's something recent that's been going on with all the craziness with the new administration here and all the enemies he's making. So I don't know what's going on, but it's something recent, because they used to allow you to open a bank account remotely. A couple of companies did, and they no longer do. So this solution ended up being a great one for me in order to get that fee paid. And then also the electricity, they didn't require a deposit, but I'll need to have an account to pay my bill for that kind of stuff too. So I just got a message from Paolo like 2 days ago, and he said the water was on. So that's good. I didn't hear about the electricity, so I just texted Paula, and she said that it should be on. And so I checked with Paolo, and I haven't heard back yet, just a few minutes ago. But so everything should be up and running and ready to roll, which is really exciting, because I think his team is getting there next week. I'll be there next week, so or in a very short amount of time. So we'll have the utilities up and running, which is great. That means we can get going right away. So already these things are happening to make the project move forward, and wow, I'm just blown away. There's again, I've said this many times in my video, that perception of there's a lot of bureaucracy in Italy, and that it's really hard to get things done. And I'm sure it is. I mean, in many cases, like when I tried to get my tax ID number from the US, it didn't work. But I walked into an office, had an appointment there, walked in there with Paula, and waited for, 30 minutes, and then walked to the guy's desk. 5 minutes, he's like, here you go, here's your codice fiscale, your tax ID number. So I don't know. Certainly, no doubt, there's going to be issues with bureaucracy in Italy. I don't doubt that one bit. But so far, I've been really fortunate to not have too many bad experiences with that. Electricity's on, water's on. Wow. Contractors are lined up. A couple of things about contractors. So, I mentioned in the previous video, Paolo, has redone a bunch of properties in the area and also in Spain. And he has a crew of 3 guys that works for him from Spain, and they're coming over. And so he offered to let me use them on my project before they work on a new house that he bought. So I had already gotten a quote from the guy who does plaster, Silvio, I believe. And his quote looked really good. Well, I'd originally gotten that name from Paolo. Paolo's worked with him before. And he said Silvio was an artist, I think, an actual like artist painter or something. But then he's in the trades of doing plaster work. And I stayed in Paolo's apartment that Silvio had done, and it was incredible. Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. So I told Paolo I'd really like to use him. He said, oh, absolutely. He's a friend of mine. He's like, that'll be great, because then he can do the plaster and then my 3 guys can do the other work. So on a similar situation, I did finally get a quote from the plumber Valerio. But remember, it was a hard time to get the quote, and then when I got it, it wasn't like all the information I wanted. So I was just kind of feeling unsure, let's just say, not super confident. And that's the reason why I reached out to Paolo in the first place, to ask him if he had a plumber I could use. And he said, well, I've got a whole team, and they're going to be here in a few weeks. So that's how that whole thing started. So I did actually get a quote from Valerio, the plumber, and he his prices looked actually pretty good. I was just kind of concerned whether or not I'd be able to get him on board and have him be able to show up if he's that busy that he couldn't give me a quote. Well, Paolo said, hey, send me a quote you got from him and I'll take a look at it. So I sent it to him, and he said, wow, I think this looks really pretty good. The prices seem reasonable. And again, they did to me as well. And then Paolo said, send me his contact information and I'll reach out to him. So he called him and they talked, and he's going to have him come back over to the house and look at it now that the water's on. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, if you think the prices are good, I said, let's just hire Valerio to do the plumbing on the house. And Paolo said, yeah, he's like, my guys are probably 40% less. But if that's just on the labor wasn't that much. It was only a few €100. So I'm like, you know what? I think it would be nice to have Valerio do it. And Paolo agreed. He said, listen, here, there's a couple of big advantages. A, he's from here. He lives here. So he knows how the system works. He's a licensed plumber. So if you need to get, permits and things like that, it would be great to have him on board. Also, if down the road you have problems with the system or you need repairs or something like that, he's here. He's the one who put it in. He can maintain it and service it. So that's a huge one, because, someone comes and puts something in and leaves, and then another plumber comes and doesn't know how it was even set up or if it was done correctly or the way he'd do it, even if it's done right, but maybe it's different than the way he would do it. So this would be an incredible benefit, I think, as well. And then, the great thing there is that Paolo's there to communicate with him and get in touch with him and kind of manage the project, and way better than me trying to send a text here from the United States, trying to get a quote from him, or, even when I'm there. So I think that's going to be great. And then another huge benefit is then it frees up Paolo's guys to do other stuff. So if we've got someone doing the plaster, someone do the plumbing, and then his 3 guys can work on doing cleaning the place up, moving furniture around, redoing the floors, running electrical, all that stuff. It just helps the timeline work a lot faster, I think. And there's no really added cost to me. I would have been paying for it anyway. I mean, maybe I pay a little bit more for the labor, but it's not a huge difference. So I think this is going to be a great solution. And so I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a really nice solution for the plumbing. There's a few things I talked about in many of my videos throughout the whole time, ever since I looked at this place for the first time, about what I wanted to do. So I'd like to just go through a few of those things now. And I looked back through some of my videos and made some pictures, and I'll show you some clips here of some of the things I'm talking about doing. But there's a certain amount of things that I'd like to do to the place, and I'd like to keep the budget, spend as little as possible, but still do it right and do it nice. So if you recall, when Paolo first looked at the place, he's like, I'd like to add a 3rd bathroom. I'd like to refinish that attic and turn that into livable space, which is all great. And I think great ideas, great suggestions, but I don't think I need another bathroom. If you're going to rent out the whole house, maybe, but since I'm just going to rent out that one apartment and it has a bathroom, I don't think there's a need for another one. And as far as refinishing that space in the attic, I think it could certainly be a nice space. Like he said, it has those huge windows in there, lets in tons of light. In fact, here you can see this picture here, or maybe a little video clip, and you'll see. I mean, it's incredible. This is an attic, and it's like this bright and sunny and beautiful, and would have some nice views from those windows as well. But I don't really need the space. The place is bigger than I intended anyway. It's just such a great deal. I couldn't really pass it up, and check so many of the boxes that the size was one of the things that I just kind of accepted, even though I didn't really want a place that big. But yeah, so probably not doing the bathroom and the finishing the attic unless there's some way it can be done really inexpensively and it makes a huge improvement. I don't think it would right now. And that's another thing you can kind of do down the road. I guess you could always do that later if you really wanted to. Of course, now when you have the crew there and everyone's there, it's probably the right time to do it if you're ever going to do it. But I don't really see a need. So without those things, I think that makes the estimate that Paolo came up with a little bit flexible. I think we could get it a little bit lower too. And again, that number I'm not going to share with you right now. I want to wait till I get over there and get to see everything and kind of get things figured out. So we'll see. Down the road, I'll probably talk numbers a little bit. But so just to talk about some of the things I'd like to do to the house that were really important, let's just start at the ground floor. So as you come in, there's a big entranceway. And I think would be a really nice room to fix up so that it's the first impression you get when you walk in. It's going to make it feel really nice and impressive. And I think the first thing to do that is to remove the plaster from the ceiling and expose the bricks. I think that's going to really make an incredible impression when you first walk in. So the hallway, as you recall, was pretty dark when the doors were closed, but I got the front doors working, and I used to come in the garage door, but got the front doors open and working, and you could see that entranceway really looked nice with some lights. So that's a big one. Then kind of working our way up the stairs, they had put this plastic paneling on the walls all the way up the staircase. I think in the entranceway they have like a wooden paneling, which I'd want to remove as well, like a wainscoting just from waist down. But they did that also on the stairs, and it's just some crappy plastic. So obviously we'll remove that. I mean, the staircase is just incredibly beautiful marble slabs. I mean, solid, beautiful marble. And then this crappy plastic is on the wall. So yeah, obviously we'll take all that off. So that's one for sure. And then when you get up to the first floor, which is the apartment I'd like to keep for myself, there's a room that was designated as a kitchen on the floor plan, but it just has a sink right now. There's no cabinets, no appliances or anything like that. But I think it's going to make a really nice kitchen. So expose the brick ceilings as well. Put in some nice cabinetry and some modern cabinetry and some appliances. And I think the size of the room is nice because it's a kitchen. You're not using it a lot. You're just kind of cooking in there, and maybe there's a small table. So I think that's nice because it's a smaller of the three rooms on that floor, on both floors really, but for the first floor. And then moving into the living room, we're just going to, again, expose the brick ceilings in there. It's going to look really nice, get new furniture. I'd like to have some more modern furniture. I understand it's classic house, but the second floor unit that I'd like to rent out will use some of the classic furniture that's there and more vintage furniture. But for where I'm going to live, I'd like some modern furniture. I think it'd be really nice. Yeah, and then the bedroom is going to be a really nice space as well, really nice big space. So those are pretty straightforward. When you look at the bathroom on that floor, I think all the tile is original. It's a really nice, beautiful tile. So I'd like to preserve that if possible. I'd like to replace the toilet, the bidet, the sink, and then tear out the bathtub and put in a shower. I'm not a bath guy. So yeah, the bathtub I'd never use, so I want to take that out. I'd like to preserve some of the tile that's around it in case we need it, because if you notice, the toilet has a built-in control in the wall. So if I'm going to put another toilet there, it might cause some damage. So if we can salvage some of the tiles from around the bathtub to patch in the wall if need be, that would be a great thing. So just kind of keeping some of these kind of things in mind. And then you can see the old water heater hanging on the wall here. We replaced that and put a new one in. That was part of Valerio's estimate, and it was really reasonable. And I think that's a no-brainer. Obviously, those things, who knows how old they are, and why take a chance? And they're probably not super efficient. Newer ones are probably more efficient. So we'll take care of that. And then moving up to the second floor, kind of the same things. I mean, just I'd like to remove some of the brick ceilings from a couple of the rooms, probably not all three of them. We'll see. I'll look at how much it costs and the budget and things like that. But the big thing is the bathroom. You can see this bathroom. Wow, it's dated. Those are not original tiles. They're ugly. Rip those out. That shower is probably pretty disgusting. I'd like to put in a larger shower as well anyway. And just, so that's going to be a complete redo. That one's going to be a big one. So that's something that Paolo's crew can work on. Those three guys, imagine how much time it'll take for those guys. They'll whip that thing out. So that's fantastic. And then moving upstairs, there's that finished room up there. And that room and the attic and the rooftop patio all are kind of maybe a similar project. So if you take a look in this clip, you can see the paint peeling from the ceiling around that skylight. So clearly there's some water getting in there. It's not really stained bad. It doesn't look like it's rotted. And when you look up around the skylight on the roof, you can see the flashing isn't really good. So it might be something as simple as some flashing or caulking to fix that. But there's some area I'd like to reclaim from that patio. So you can see under this corrugated material here, that's all considered part of the patio, the rooftop patio, with the original floor plans that the city has. So my intention is 100% to reclaim that as patio area. And then the other big thing is just need to improve that access to the roof. Right now it's this janky ladder going up through there, and you have to go into the attic that's unfinished. So there's kind of two ways I'd like to possibly address this. One would be to put a better staircase or ladder going up to the roof, use the existing access, and then maybe just frame out a room around there, make the doorway into the attic taller if possible, and just make that access a lot easier. Or just remove that doorway, frame it out so you get to the top of the stairs, and right there's a little nook you go in for the staircase to the roof. So that would be a possible one. That would be nice because you probably wouldn't have to replace that kind of access structure that covers the ladder where you're going up. The other option is an idea that my buddy Kuba came up with when he came to pick me up last fall after I'd bought the place. And he suggested, why not in this finished room put like a spiral staircase up to the rooftop? So there's a couple of things why that might be problematic. You got to cut through the roof. I think the roof is cement, so it'd be a big job, but I trust that Paolo's guys could do that. I'm sure it's not a big deal for them. But you'd need some kind of access hatch, whether it's a hatch that flips open and then you go up, or do you build another structure that kind of covers it like the one that's there? I'm guessing if you build a structure, it'll change the skyline of the city, and that's a historic town. So I would imagine that you'd have to get an architect involved and draw up plans and submit into the city and see what they say. So I don't know. These are all kind of things. Obviously, I'll have to bounce these ideas off Paolo when I get there, and we'll talk about it and make a decision based on what he says and what his experience is. So that really, in a nutshell, is most of the remodeling. So there's some questions about the systems. The electrical is outdated, so we'll need to update that. So that's going to be a big deal because these are solid walls. They're brick. You have to trench into the brick and then repair the plaster. So that's going to be expensive, but this is the time to do it, and it has to be done. So that's one. We're going to check the existing water lines, see if they're okay, and if they are, then if we don't have to replace them, that'd be great, because I'm guessing that'd be pretty expensive. But if we do, this is again the time to do it. So we'll do that. We'll do some testing, I think, with a new pressure tank. So this is the other thing. So Vignale, this town has really kind of poor water pressure. It's a little small town. Their system's been around forever. So what people do is they have a pressure tank, basically. I have one here. I have a well, pumps water out of here into the pressure tank to a certain pressure. That provides pressure to the house and provides water pressure. So they do the same thing in Vignale. They pump the water into a big tank, and then you have a pump on the tank that pressurizes the tank, and then that provides water, so you have consistent water pressure throughout the whole house. And of course, the water comes in the cellar, and it's pumping it up 2-3 floors, so it needs enough water to be able to get that all the way up there. So even if the water pressure from the city is really low, even if it's just trickling in, same thing here. If you have a well, like I have a water well, and it's only pumping at like 1 gallon per minute, which isn't that much, you have a cistern and you pump into the cistern, and over 60 minutes it pumps 60 gallons even at a really slow rate. So you can have a huge tank and it's just going to fill that up, and then you have a pump from the tank into the house. So this is essentially the same thing that's going on here at my house. So the plumber did give a quote to replace that tank and put on a new pump, and the one that is there, you can see here, it looks pretty old, and yeah, I think that's just a no-brainer, right? So we do that. And that's why it'd be great to have Valerio on, have him put that in, and he knows how to do it, and he works in this town. He knows that this town has that issue. It's normal, so that's a great one. And then the other one was heat. So there's an existing boiler there that runs on diesel or heating oil, we say here in the United States, and I think Paulo said that's not even legal anymore. Like, they wouldn't allow you to do it because of emissions and the pollution and things like that. So he said there's really two choices. He's like, okay, do you do natural gas, which the city has natural gas in the street, or do you do electric heat? And for me, it's a no-brainer, electric heat. Those mini splits are super efficient, does heating and air conditioning. And then for cold weather, you could supplement that with a pellet stove. Just a stove that'll run, so when you're not there, has an auger, it puts in little pellets into the fire, it provides nice heat. So that'd be great for supplemental heat. And if you remember, Valario looked at my house like last year. He went there initially when I had some problems with that first boiler system before I even bought the house. And I believe he's the one who recommended that solution, like a mini split, and then a pellet stove. So I think that's a great one. So we'd like to probably just leave the existing radiators there because they're cool, they're old, they're kind of beautiful. There's that one that you remember that has like 2 doors you open, you can put stuff in there to stay warm when that's running in the winter. So I think that thing's cool, and I'll just leave them in place, but they just won't be hooked up to a boiler and they won't be functional. So that's fine with me. I'm okay with that. I think that'll be a really great system. And the other thing that is great about that is there'll be a mini split on each floor. So when I'm not there, I can turn mine off. When I'm renting it, they're not heating the entire house, like the empty space that I'm not in. They're heating that. So I think we can get away with probably just 2 of them. I don't think we'll need one on the ground floor. And I don't think we'd need one up above because there's no water lines up there. So, the place has been unheated for years now, 4 or 5 years at least, I'm sure, and it hasn't fallen apart, so I think it's okay. So these are kind of the main systems. This is what we're looking at doing. The systems for electrical and heat and water. There you go. There's the 3, and then the remodeling are the things I've talked about. And man, when those are done, buy some furniture, buy some lighting. And put in the kitchen. Obviously, that's the one big one that I can take care of that. There's a previous episode on why I'm going to use IKEA kitchens. Take a look at that one if you haven't seen it. I'll put a little badge here at the end of the thing so you can take a look at that one too. Yeah, there's it's kind of coming together basically, right? There you go. That's it. That's the project. That's the remodeling. That's what's going to happen. Exterior paint at some point, but it's an old town. There's a lot of kind of shabby looking buildings with paint peeling on the outside, and that's all right. So I'm okay to leave the outside for right now. Eventually maybe down the road, work on that. But there you go. That's it. That's the project. So, yeah, and we're going to be getting started on it really soon. Already electricity and water should be up and running. Already got plumbers with some ideas. Already got the crew coming. And man, we're ready to start. So get ready, get prepared for seeing some progress. And I'll put out another video of the stuff when we start and as we start on the project and what we start doing. So get ready for some updates on the remodeling project of my Italian house. And this is going to be a huge part of the Italian Grand Adventure. So thanks so much for following along. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click the bell. And, you know, I'm going to be needing probably some espressos and maybe a little bit of wine even when I'm over there. So if you want to join my channel, click on the join button, and you can get some perks from that. And then I'll use those proceeds to buy myself a little beverage while I'm over there to help me out with the whole project. So thanks again for all your comments. Thanks for all your views, all your positivity. It's really been incredible. Really enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy the content and keep following along. Thanks a lot.